Brilliant. Welcome, guys, to the pre-market overview, Monday, July 27th. We almost got that music finishing just as we started. I will try and time that better next time. So happy Monday to you all. Hope you all had a good weekend and are ready for a good trading week ahead. So just a couple of things to show you before we crack on and go through the content of today. So firstly, my name's Becky. If you hadn't figured it out, you can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com, if you have any questions about anything I covered today. Also got the support team, support@tradewithufos.com. Those guys being a team are often quicker at responding. So we would often say direct your inquiries towards them, support@tradewithufos.com. But of course, you are welcome to email me too. So basically, just to explain what we're going to do today, for those that have never joined us before, I'm just going to spend about 15-20 minutes and go through our newsletter. So if you don't already have the newsletter coming to you every day, just email us newsletter@tradewithufos.com and you will see it. It will come through to you every weekday. Now, in the newsletter, what we do is go through 4 of the major markets in the world, where we think they're going, where we think they could turn, how quickly we think they're going to move. And then I just explain the concepts a little bit more in these overviews for those that need a little bit more explanation. Okay, so a couple of things before we get started. Today being a Monday, we have futures and options sessions at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern, respectively. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have stocks and investing. And over the weekend, we have sharpening sessions, which are basically going over theory, concepts, methodology, and also psychology sessions as well. Very important. Upcoming courses, we are in the middle of, or a couple of days into, our futures class at the moment. That started a couple of days ago. We will have another one later in August, so I'll show you that probably tomorrow. Stocks, psychology, and trading plans are next. So take a look at those dates and times whilst I read the disclaimers, and then we'll crack on. Okay, so the following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradewituf provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our product. The following presentation is for educational purposes only. All the symbols and trading ideas discussed are for demonstrating and are not recommendations. Active options and futures trading carries a high degree of risk and may not be suitable for all traders. Past historical trading performance of real or simulated trading does not guarantee success and may not be indicative of future results. You Can Trade is an online media publication service which provides educational investment content and ideas along with live trading demonstrations and does not provide investment or trading advice, research, or recommendations of any kind. Please visit www.youcantrade.com for additional disclosure information. Right, great. Now that that's done, let's have a look at our newsletter. So this is what it looks like. This is what you'll get if you subscribe to it. It'll come through to you every day. So as I said, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. We go through the S&P, obviously one of the major equity indices in the world, or indexes. Oil and gold, obviously both major commodities, and the euro, which when we look at it as the euro US dollar is the highest traded currency pair in the world. In fact, the US dollar by itself is responsible for 80% of transactions worldwide every day. So highest trade currency pair in the world and a highest or most, I guess, maybe influential currency in the world as well, looking at it like that. So we've covered quite a lot of what goes on from sort of stocks, equities, commodities. We're using futures to do some of this. We're using spot forex as well. You'll notice that we are using a daily chart for each of these. We're looking at the daily time frame. Of course, different things happen on different time frames, but the daily does often fall, whether you're a long-term trader or a short-term trader, it would often fall into some form of analysis that you might do. Might not, but it's usually quite common to use. So for each market, what we're going to do, we're going to look at climate, which is basically trend, market environment, in what direction are we moving in, and the probabilities associated with that. We're going to look at propagating, which gives us an idea of how long can we expect that climate to continue? How long can we expect to keep going up or keep going down? Nearest UFOs. UFO stands for unfilled orders. What that means is what we're looking for is big stacks of buy orders that could push price upwards or big stacks of sell orders that could push price downwards. That's what we're looking for. For the UFOs, we use our Auto UFO app. So it identifies those for us on a chart and tells us where those orders are likely to be. And for the climate and the propagating, we use our Auto Climate app, which finds these figures for us, helps us identify these things. Then for each of the markets, we're also going to come down and look at volatility. I'll just explain what volatility means now before I go through it a bit later. Volatility just means how fast or how far we expect markets to move. We get the volatility numbers, and they're going to be in this column here, current IV, current implied volatility. We get those numbers from the options of these markets. So for those that maybe don't know options or haven't traded options, there is a risk in options depending on how quickly markets move or how far they move within given periods of time. There is a risk involved in that. Now with the options markets, it's professional traders that are normally trading these markets, especially these big ones. And so when they're buying and selling the options and therefore setting the price of the option, inherent in that is the risk they're willing to take given how far they think price will move. So in effect, the current implied volatility numbers reflect to us what professional traders think. It's professional traders' opinion as to how far these markets will move. So it gives us the numbers based on that. Everything in this column, you'll see, has a little percentage next to it. So it's all done. Everything in current implied volatility is done as a percentage per year. So it tells us how far we expect price to move up or down within a given year for each of these markets. And I will go through them one by one as we go through the other ones, the other concepts up here as well. So we'll start with the S&P. So we're looking at $ SPX.X. That's the symbol that we're using. Let's go take a look. Okay. Going to move the chart about a bit just so we see what we've got to see, and hopefully my face isn't in the way up here. Okay, so here we are. We see at the bottom our Auto Climate app. So the Auto Climate app is what tells us what trend we're in, what market environment we're in. Are we moving to the upside? Are we moving to the downside? And it also tells us the probabilities associated with that trend or with that climate. It shows us that in one of three ways. So we have either a thick blue dot, which is what we have in this example, which tells us that we have a confirmed upwards climate. If it's blue, it means it's an up climate. If it's a thick dot, it means it's confirmed, meaning there's higher probabilities there. We could have a thick red dot, which tells us we're in a confirmed downwards climate. Again, thick meaning confirmed, that we have more probabilities. Or it could be a thin dot of either color, which tells us that it's unconfirmed. There are less probabilities. So there's only three things it can be: thick blue dot, thick red dot, or thin dot of either color. The thickness tells us we have probabilities, and the color tells us into which direction. So here we have a thick blue dot, so probabilities to the upside here. Now, in terms of UFOs, unfilled orders, where we expect prices to turn, we have our closest buy UFO down here, closest stack of buy orders that we would expect to push price up if price ever got back there, 2955.45 to 2933.59. Then we have our closest stack of sell orders, 3373.23 to 3393.52, as showed to us here by our red UFO. Okay, so we saw that we had an upwards climate and that it was confirmed, but let's just understand how long we can keep expecting it to go into the upside. Now, everything on the right-hand side here tells us how long that market would normally go in that direction for. Based on statistics and probabilities, gives us an average. Everything on the left is going to tell us how far we are already into that move. So if we take the top one, what this tells us here, and by the way, all of these numbers on the right, I'm going to round them up. Whatever the decimal place is, I'm going to round it to the next round number. Tells us here that the S&P would normally go up for 11 candles on a daily chart. However, we are on the 17th candle in a row to the upside. So we have surpassed what is statistically likely in this market. That's not to say we won't keep doing that. Obviously, in statistics and probabilities, there's always outliers. There's always things that happen outside of what is probable. But just bear in mind, the longer we keep going past what is statistically likely to happen, the less likely it is to keep happening. If that makes sense. The more we put an elastic band, the less likely it is to keep going, and the more likely it is to snap back on itself. So be aware of that here. We do have probabilities to the upside with our confirmed climate, but we lose probabilities when it comes to our climate propagating in terms of it carrying on. And we saw we're coming up to a sell UFO as well. So it'd be interesting to see there which of these forces play out, which of them wins. Okay, so in terms of volatility for the S&P, we look at the VIX, VIX.X. We would expect from the S&P a movement up or down in 1 year of 26.34%. Again, that's based on what professional traders believe, which means in 1 day, we would expect a movement up or down of 53.36 points once we reverse engineer that. In a week, we would expect a movement up or down of 117.46 points. And in a month, we would expect a movement up or down of 244.51 points. Okay. So moving on to oil. Oil is the next market we're going to look at. We are looking at CL. That is the continuous futures contract for oil. So let's go take a look at CL. Okay, I'm just going to have to squish this down a little bit here. There you go, for us to see our UFOs. Okay, so once again, we have a thick blue dot on our auto climate telling us we have probabilities to the upside. We have an uptrend and upwards climate with probabilities on our side there to the upside. Closest stack of buy orders as shown here by our green UFOs, 26.03 to 25.52. And you'll notice that it's nestled on top of another one. You've got two UFOs just on top of each other there. Then we have our closest sell UFO, closest stack of sell orders that we would expect price to drop from. 53.55, to 55.43. Let's get muddled with my numbers there. Now, obviously, bear in mind, we are sort of smack bang in the middle of that. We're not really anywhere close to either one of those things. We do have a confirmed upwards climate, but no UFOs either side really at the moment to push us one way or the other. So how long can we expect the market to continue to go up? So we see here that normally oil would go up for 7 candles on a daily chart. And we're on candle number 1. So we're well within, obviously, our probabilities that price could continue moving to the upside because we're right at the start of a normal move to the upside. And we have confirmed probabilities to the upside there from our auto climate. However, bear in mind, obviously, sometimes new orders come into the markets and change things. We're not close to any stacks of UFOs at the moment. So if new sell UFOs come in, that could override the climate. But we'll see. At the moment, we've got probabilities to the upside there showing us on our climate. So in terms of volatility that we would expect, movement that we expect in oil, we look at OVX.X. And we can see here that based on professional traders' opinions, we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 42.35%, which means movement up or down in 1 day of 1.10 points, up or down in 1 week of 2.43 points, or up or down in 1 month of 5.06 points. Okay, so moving on to gold, we're looking at GC, which again is the continuous futures contract for this market. So let's take a look at GC. Okay, once again, I'm just going to have to move things a little bit here for us to see. Oh no, I believe we have no sell UFOs. That's why. Doesn't matter how much I move it, we're not going to see it. Okay, so once again, auto climate app on the bottom showing us a thick blue dot. So showing us that we have confirmed movement to the upside. Closest stack of buy orders, as shown here by our green UFO, is 1817.4 to 1806.6. Now, we've left this blank up here because there are no sell UFOs on the gold chart. I should probably correct myself there. There are some from a long time ago, we're talking decades ago, but that increases the likelihood that they're likely to have been cancelled. So we're leaving that blank there and showing you the buy UFOs. Now we saw that we had a confirmed upwards climate again. What we see here is that normally gold would go up for 7 candles, I'm rounding that up, 7 candles on a daily chart, and we are on candle number 6, meaning that we are obviously coming up to what is likely to be the end of that move to the upside. Again, we've already seen, and we'll see when we come on to the next market, that of course we can surpass what is statistically likely. You know, it doesn't mean that we definitely get to that number and then it definitely turns over. It just means that the further we go into it, the less probabilities we have. So bear in mind that we are coming to the end of what is statistically likely, although we do still have a confirmed upwards climate. And as we said, no sell UFOs that could push price down. Now, in terms of movement that we expect on gold, we look at GVZ.X, if you're American, GVZ. We would expect a movement up or down in 1 year on gold of 21.61% in 1 year, meaning in 1 day, we expect a movement up or down of 26.4 points, in 1 week, up or down of 51.1 points, and in 1 month, up or down of 121 points. Okay, so last market, we're going to look at the Euro US dollar. Again, like we said, spot Forex for the Euro US dollar there. the euro versus the US dollar is essentially what we're looking at. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Here we are. Okay, I'm just going to spread this out a bit. You'll see we have multiple buy UFOs on top of each other, just one after the other. And price just keeps moving up, forming a new one, moving up, forming a new one, moving up, forming a new one. We see that the buy UFOs here have done what we expect them to do. This one here hit our buy UFO, moved up, hit it again, moved up, created a new one, moved up, came back, hit the UFO, moved up. That's what we expect buy orders to do. That's what we expect the buy UFOs to do, is push price upwards once they get hit. And as we can see here, that pressure to the upside has kept pushing price upwards and creating new UFOs, new stacks of orders that continue to push price to the upside. So we can see here that once again, we have a thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate. Again, unsurprisingly, movement to the upside with probabilities there. Closest stack of buy orders is just here at 1.1597 to 1.1507. Just rounded that to where it needs to be on the pip. Closest stack of sell orders, we are in it at the moment. Be interesting to see what happens here. 1.1740 to 1.1860. Once again, just rounded that up. So we have a couple of forces playing against each other in this one, because yes, we have our confirmed upwards climate on the daily. We saw that. We have buy UFO after buy UFO after buy UFO that's been pushing price upwards along the way. We are in a sell UFO right now. So we've got buying power now hitting selling power. And in terms of propagating, we would expect that we would be coming to the end of it. The reason for that is because normally the euro US dollar would go up for 4 candles on a daily chart. And we're on candle number 16. So we are 4 times overextended to the upside than what is normal, what is average, what is statistically likely. So we've kind of got these buy UFOs pushing price up plus a confirmed upwards climate, but we're outside of our propagating statistics and we've got a sell UFO. So again, we've got these two forces now playing off against each other. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that stack of sell orders that are there if we do start to see a change in price, or if we just keep pushing through that and continue that upwards climate. So in terms of movement that we expect on the euro, we use EVZ.X or EVZ. That's the proper way to say. So we would expect a movement in 1 year up or down of 7.39% based on professional traders' opinions. Daily expectation means we would expect a movement up or down in 1 day of 55 pips, up or down in 1 week of 120 pips, or up or down in 1 month of 250 pips. So again, the volatility numbers just give us an idea of how far these markets are likely to move based on what professional traders think, and that's where we get the numbers from. The climate and the propagating gives us an idea of in which direction those markets are likely to move. And the nearest UFOs give us an idea of where price might be likely to turn and change that climate. Okay, so a couple more things to just talk about here. Of course, we've looked at direct forces in the markets. The most direct force that can move price up or down is buy and sell orders. That's it. And we look at that in the form of our UFOs here. Now, when we come down to look at news, which is an indirect force, meaning the news itself is not as direct as buy or sell orders themselves. However, it does produce buy and sell orders. So it's a good thing to be aware of it. So we go to www.fxstreet.com/economic-calendar. We filter by US markets and by high impact news. Last week, we had no high impact news on the US dollar. This week we do. So we're back to showing you high impact news. If you trade things outside of those variables, then just go to that link and you can play about with the filters there to see whatever markets you want to look at, whatever country you want to look at, and whatever impact news you want to look at. So we can see here that for Monday, being today, we have 2 bits of news coming out, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We have durable goods orders and we have non-defense capital goods orders, excluding aircraft. So that's coming out here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Once the data comes out, it will usually populate in this column. So if you go to that link after that news has come out, you should see that data will be filled in here. It will obviously stay blank for Wednesday and Thursday because it hasn't happened yet. Okay, righty. So a couple of reminders. Just to say here, if you're not already part of the fund, part of our futures, options, stocks, investing, sharpening, psychology sessions with the support and everything, you are welcome to join us, www.tradictive.com/you-can-trade. you have a free 14-day access to the channel. So you can check us out for a couple of weeks first, see if it makes sense to you, and then go from there if it does. See if it doesn't, then fine. The next class that we have, obviously we've got the futures class going on right now. The next class after that is the stocks class, www.tradewithufos.com/stocks live. That's how you can learn more about that. That will be August 8th to the 14th. If I'm correct on that, I think I am. It's me teaching the class, so I should know. August 8th to the 14th. So if you want to know more about the stocks course, then you can click on that and learn a bit more. You can register for any of our courses and choose an additional course for free. So the second course needs to be of equal or lesser value than the first one you pick. So just go to the website and sort of play about with it in such a way so that you can make sure you make the most out of that deal. If you have questions for us on anything, courses, subscription, what we go over today, technology we use, any help you need, by all means, email us support@tradewithufos.com. Otherwise, that's me done. So we will see you. I will see you again tomorrow morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning to go over the overview for tomorrow. In the meantime, we have futures and options sessions today in the Tradective channel, and at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, my colleague Boyan will be looking at what did happen in the markets, which of these forces won, what can we learn, what can we reflect from that. He'll be doing that at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully we'll see you in one of those sessions today. If not, I'll see you in the morning. Have a good day, guys. Have a good fun trade.